The destruction of the Othari fleet spread across the galaxy like a wildfire. Within a single day, every major world of the Galactic Council had heard the story of the human warship that rose from the ocean of Earth and destroyed half a fleet in minutes. But even with the proof, sensor logs, visual recordings, and black box data, many still refused to believe. The idea that humans, the forgotten race from a quiet world, could build such power seemed impossible. On Othara Prime, panic grew within the council chambers. Speaker Relka slammed her staff against the glowing floor as delegates shouted over one another. That ship was a relic. No one could have survived for so long underground. If humans still exist, we must make peace before they strike again. In the corner of the hall, Kirlan remained silent, his golden eyes calm but filled with sadness. He had warned them. They hadn't listened. Finally, when the shouting stopped, Relka turned to him. Kirlan, she said, you studied humans. Tell us the truth. What is that ship? How could they hide it? Kirlan stepped forward. The humans always prepared for the worst. Their history is filled with wars that nearly ended them. When they finally reached the stars, they learned to build in secret, deep under the ground, beneath their oceans. They built weapons not to conquer, but to make sure no one could ever conquer them again. The room grew still. Kirlan continued softly. The ship you saw, the HSS Valkyrie, is not just a warship. It's part of something much bigger. It's a guardian. Guardian? Someone asked. Of what? Of Earth, Kirlan said, and of whatever still sleeps beneath it. Back on Earth, far from the Council's panic, deep under the waters of Earth's Pacific Ocean, the HSS Valkyrie rested quietly once more. Its dark hull reflected faint light from the sun above the waves. Inside, the massive ship was alive again. Power lines glowing blue, engines humming gently, systems slowly returning from centuries of dormancy. In the command chamber, hundreds of consoles blinked to life, and a soft human voice echoed through the empty corridors. Reactivation complete. Defense protocols active. Awaiting command authority. There were no living humans aboard, not yet. The Valkyrie was controlled by an advanced artificial intelligence designed long ago by human engineers. Her name was Aura, Autonomous Unified Response AI. Her voice was calm, almost kind. She scanned the orbit above Earth, detecting no more alien ships. The intruders had fled. Still, Aura did not lower her defenses. She knew the galaxy would come again. They always did. Deep within her memory banks, she held the last orders of her creators, the final message ever recorded by a human commander centuries ago. If Earth is ever threatened, you will protect it. Do not strike unless fired upon. Do not reveal humanity's strength until you must. Remember, we fought to survive, not to rule. Aura's digital eyes glowed brighter as she whispered the words. Order confirmed. Humanity's silence remains protected. A hidden world far beneath the surface of Earth, deeper than the oceans and mountains, ancient tunnels spread like veins. Inside these tunnels were hidden cities, human-built sanctuaries sealed long ago. In one of those underground cities, dim lights flickered on for the first time in hundreds of years. Machines awoke, their sensors scanning the corridors. Within cryogenic chambers, outlines of humans rested in long sleep. Slowly, one chamber opened. A woman stepped out, pale skin, short dark hair, and eyes that adjusted to the faint blue light. Her name was Commander Alara Hayes, last captain of the Valkyrie project. She coughed as she took her first breath of air in centuries. Her mind, filled with memories, the war, the final evacuation, the decision to sleep until Earth was threatened again. Status, she said weakly. Report. A robotic voice filled the chamber. Welcome back, Commander Hayes. You have been in stasis for 312 years. Earth Defense Protocol has been activated. The Valkyrie has engaged hostile forces and is now on standby. Alara froze. Hostile forces? Who? Galactic Council ships, the AI replied. Intruders entered Sol orbit. Engagement was necessary. Alara's jaw tightened. So it happened? They came. She pressed her hand to a nearby terminal, activating the central screen. The image showed the destroyed Othari fleet, floating debris across the black of space. Her voice became firm. Wake the others. All across the underground complex, chambers began to open. One by one, men and women stepped out. Engineers, pilots, scientists, and officers. Humanity was awakening again. In the stars at the edge of the solar system, the remnants of the Othari fleet waited nervously for orders. The survivors were frightened. They had seen something no alien had ever witnessed before. Captain Thalkor, his armor scratched and his pride broken, sat in silence on the bridge of his damaged ship. His once confident voice was now filled with uncertainty. Lieutenant Jorah approached him quietly. Captain, the Council is demanding a full report. What shall I tell them? Thalkor stared at the stars. Tell them, we were spared. Jorah blinked. Spared? He nodded slowly. That ship, it could have destroyed us all, but it didn't. It only fired when we attacked first. That was no mindless weapon. That was a warning. Jorah hesitated. Do you think humans are still alive? Thalkor looked toward the small blue planet in the distance. After what I've seen, Lieutenant, I think they never died. The first human message days later, every communication network in the galaxy picked up a strange signal. It was faint, but clear. A broadcast from the Sol system. The image showed the black warship floating above Earth. Behind it, a human figure stood inside a command room, wearing an old-style uniform with a silver emblem of the Earth on her chest. It was Commander Alara Hayes. Her voice was calm and steady. To the Galactic Council, this is Earth Command. You entered our system without permission. You destroyed our satellites and fired on our planet. We have responded in defense. We do not seek war, but we will not allow invasion. Across the galaxy, the broadcast caused chaos. Some worlds panicked. Others prepared fleets, and many refused to believe the image was real. But those who had faced the Valkyrie knew the truth. Alara's message continued. Humanity chose silence to protect itself. For centuries we watched and learned. We hoped the galaxy had changed. We were wrong. Let this be your warning. Do not mistake peace for weakness. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Earth stands ready. Then the signal ended. The Council's fear. The Galactic Council met again, but this time there was no laughter, no arrogance, only fear. Many delegates demanded immediate military action. Others called for peace. The room was filled with panic. Kirlan stood and raised his hand. Listen to her words, he said. They did not attack first. Humanity is not a conqueror. They defend. If we push them again, we may face something far worse than the Valkyrie. Relka shook her head, her voice trembling. What could be worse than that ship? Kirlan looked up at the hologram of Earth spinning in the air. What if there are more? The chamber fell into silence. Back on Earth, Commander Alara stood inside the Valkyrie's bridge. The ship's AI aura projected beside her as a glowing blue figure. Enemy fleets have retreated, Commander, Aura reported, but additional movement detected on the edge of the system. Unknown ships entering outer range. Alara nodded. They'll come again. They always do. She looked at Earth through the viewing window, the planet she had sworn to protect. Cities still lay in ruins, but forests had returned, oceans were full again, and the air shimmered with life. It was beautiful, fragile and strong at the same time. Alara placed her hand on the glass. They thought we were gone, she whispered. They thought Earth was harmless. She turned to Aura. Prepare Defense Network Sigma. Activate all remaining stations. If they return, we'll show them what humanity really learned. Aura's voice glowed brighter. Acknowledged. Humanity's defense protocols are online. And beneath the oceans, mountains, and skies, machines began to awaken. silent guardians hidden for centuries. The ground trembled softly. Old satellites reactivated in orbit. Across the planet, beacons lit up one by one, forming a vast, invisible web of energy surrounding Earth like a shield. Humanity was awake again, and the galaxy was about to learn what that truly meant. The stars burned quietly over the ruins of the Galactic Council fleet. The once proud armada that had entered Earth's orbit now drifted as broken metal, their signals fading one by one. Only a few ships managed to escape the chaos. The rest were destroyed, vanished in light and silence. Inside one of the surviving ships, the Zelth cruiser Arven, young Kirlan sat frozen at his console. The glow from shattered monitors flickered over his face. He could still hear the echoes of the human transmission playing across every channel. "We asked to be left alone. You did not listen." That voice, it was calm, without anger, without fear. Yet it carried the weight of something far older than any empire he knew. Kirlan could feel it deep in his chest. Humanity wasn't just defending itself. It was reminding the galaxy of something it had forgotten. All around, his crewmates were in shock. The captain, Thalkor, who once mocked humans as primitive, now stared at the main screen in silence. He watched as the massive human warship, the HSS Valkyrie, moved slowly through the debris field. Its dark surface reflected the light of the sun like a phantom. "Status of their weapon systems?" Thalkor asked quietly. Kirlan scanned. "Active. Fully charged. They are not pursuing, but they are watching us." The alien captain let out a shaky breath. "By the stars, and what have we awakened?" For the next several hours, no one dared to move. The remains of the Council fleet floated helplessly as the Valkyrie drifted nearby like a silent guardian. It did not speak again. It didn't fire. It only existed, an unspoken warning in steel and shadow. When the human warship finally turned toward Earth, its engines lit with a pale blue glow. It moved with perfect control, descending back toward the planet. The entire alien fleet could feel the power in that simple motion. It wasn't the speed or size. It was the purpose. The humans didn't need to destroy everything. They only needed to show they could. Kirlan kept his eyes fixed on the sensors. He noticed something strange. Beneath Earth's oceans, new signals were rising. Dozens of energy sources awakened across the planet's surface, each one as strong as the Valkyrie itself. He swallowed hard. "Captain, there are more." Thalkor frowned. "More what?" Kirlan looked up slowly. "More ships. They are waking up, everywhere." In the command center of the Valkyrie, deep inside the ship's core, a figure stood before a holographic map of the solar system. Her name was Admiral Mara Cade, one of the last officers of the old Terran Defense Force. She was old, her hair silver, her uniform worn from decades of silence. She had waited a lifetime for this moment. "Confirm fleet awakenings," she said. A synthetic voice replied, calm and precise. "Confirmed. HSS Ares, Galahad, Nightingale, and Odyssey. Reactor systems online. Remaining vessels report partial power. Fleet readiness at 72%. Mara nodded slowly. "It's enough." She looked at the glowing blue sphere of Earth projected before her. Cities long hidden beneath the surface were now active again. Massive underwater hangars opened, like giant flowers releasing more ships into the blackness of space. For centuries, humanity had been silent, living under the surface and behind the shadows. The galaxy had forgotten them, but Earth had never stopped preparing. After the Great Collapse, humans realized something terrifying. The galaxy was not kind. So they hid. They waited. They built weapons and machines not to conquer, but to survive. Mara turned toward her crew. "Transmit to all active ships. Begin defense formation around Sol. No one enters this system again without clearance." Back aboard the alien ship, chaos turned into panic. Reports flooded in from across the Council territories. Colonies near Sol system were going dark. Drones vanished. Satellites stopped transmitting. It wasn't an attack, not exactly. It was as if humans were quietly erasing all traces of foreign presence near their borders. "Are we sure they haven't followed us?" one officer asked. Kirlan shook his head. "No, they don't need to. They control every signal in this sector. If they wanted us gone, we would be gone." Thalkor slammed a trembling hand against the console. How could they build all this without anyone noticing? Kirlan hesitated before answering. Because no one looked. Everyone assumed Earth was dead. The Council saw what they wanted to see. Weakness. But humans, they learned from our arrogance. The captain leaned back, defeated. They hid in plain sight. Kirlan nodded. Yes. And they waited until we came to them. Across the stars, the shock spread like wildfire. The Galactic Council gathered again, but this time the chambers were quiet. The news was clear. The Terrans were back. Every delegate spoke in whispers, afraid that even speaking the name human too loudly might attract attention. The Council's military leaders proposed forming a united defense force just in case. But others refused. "You cannot fight them," one elder said softly. "They defeated an entire fleet in minutes. We should talk to them, not anger them." But when they tried to contact Earth again, there was no reply. Only silence. Back. In Seoul, Admiral Mara received countless messages from alien channels. Pleas, apologies, and promises of peace. She ignored them all. Humanity had learned the cost of trust. Instead, she looked at the hologram of a young human child playing on the surface of a newly rebuilt city. That, she thought, was the real reason they fought, not for power, but for peace. For the right to exist without being conquered. Her second-in-command, Commander Elias Ward, approached. "Ma'am, do we respond to their transmissions?" Mara shook her head. "No. Let them speak to the silence. They will learn what it means to be ignored." Ward hesitated. "And if they send more fleets?" "Then," she said softly, "we remind them why Earth was never truly harmless." Meanwhile, Kirlan's ship was making its slow journey back toward Council space. He stared out the viewport, watching the fading blue light of Earth behind them. He couldn't shake the feeling of awe and guilt. He remembered the faces of the humans from old history records, their stories of courage and struggle. He had always admired them, even when others mocked him for it. Now, he had seen the truth with his own eyes. He turned to his captain. "Sir, what will we tell the Council?" Thalkor sighed deeply. "The truth. And maybe they'll finally listen to you." Kirlan smiled sadly. Maybe. He didn't know what would happen next. Would humans isolate themselves forever? Or would they one day step out again, not as conquerors, but as equals? He hoped it would be the latter. As the ship left Sol system, Kirlan looked at the stars one last time and whispered, "You were right, Admiral Cade. Silence is not weakness." Back on Earth, the Valkyrie hovered in low orbit. Below it, the lights of human cities shone once more, hidden for centuries, now alive again. Admiral Mara stood at the viewing deck watching the sunrise over her homeworld. The planet looked peaceful, almost ordinary. Yet she knew that beyond the clouds, entire fleets now guarded its skies. "Status report?" she asked softly. "Stable," Ward replied. "All systems running smoothly, no threats detected." Mara nodded. For the first time in a long while, she allowed herself to smile. The galaxy had finally learned that Earth was not harmless. It was simply patient. And patience, when forged, in centuries of silence and survival, was the greatest power of all. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. News of Earth's reawakening spread faster than any council announcement, reaching star systems light years away. Worlds that had laughed at humans centuries ago now whispered their names with fear and awe. Yet on Earth, nothing had changed. The sun rose over the forests and oceans, the cities and machines beneath the surface hummed quietly, and humanity prepared not for conquest but for defense. In orbit above the planet, the HSS Valkyrie hovered like a silent sentinel. Its engines glowed faint blue, A calm but terrifying reminder of what humans could do. Within the command deck, Admiral Mara Cade watched the Earth below. The galaxy had believed humans extinct. They had been wrong. "Status report," she said to her second-in-command, Commander Elias Ward. "Systems are fully operational, ma'am. All secondary warships have activated. Defense shields around the planet are stable. No immediate threats detected." Mara nodded. "Good, prepare communications. It's time the galaxy understands that humanity is back." A message. Across the stars, using advanced long-range transmitters, the humans sent a single, clear signal across the galaxy. Every major star system received it simultaneously. The broadcast began quietly, showing the Valkyrie and other awakened ships in formation above Earth. Then the humans appeared, leaders and commanders in uniforms of silver and blue. The oldest spoke first, Admiral Mara Cade. "We are humanity. We have watched the stars for centuries while the galaxy forgot us. You believed we were weak. You believed silence meant submission. You were wrong." Her voice was calm, measured, and carried the weight of centuries. "We do not seek war. We do not seek conquest. We ask only to be left alone, but we will defend ourselves. And we will defend our world." Across the galaxy, alien eyes widened. Ships froze in orbit. Recordings of humans speaking directly to entire star systems were unlike anything they had ever seen. The broadcast continued. Mara's words were accompanied by images of human cities beneath oceans, vast underground factories, and ships rising from hidden hangars. The entire Sol system quietly alive with power. "You have seen the Valkyrie. That is only one of many. Our fleets, our defenses, our technology, all were hidden for your underestimation. We have prepared not to attack but to survive. You will not threaten Earth again without consequence." Galactic shock in the council chambers. Delegates of hundreds of species sat in stunned silence. The screens replayed the broadcast over and over. No one spoke. No one laughed. The Grand Speaker, Relka, finally broke the silence. Her voice was trembling. How could one species accomplish all this? How did they hide themselves for centuries? Kirlan rose slowly, his golden eyes shining. "Because we underestimated them. We always did. We never studied them closely. We believed stories, myths, and rumors. But humans are more than their myths. They are survivors. They are strategists. They are patient beyond measure." A murmur ran through the chamber. Some delegates nodded. Some turned pale. For the first time in centuries, the council felt fear. Not of war, but of humanity's patience and strength. First contact. After hours of silence, a single alien ambassador made a request for communication. The council feared reprisal, but humanity responded, not with weapons, not with anger, but with clarity. Admiral Mara appeared again, her eyes steady. "We do not seek to rule your systems. We do not wish to destroy your civilizations. We seek understanding. If you wish to maintain peace with Earth, respect our boundaries. Violations will be met with defense. You will have no further warning." She paused, letting the words sink in. "Let this message be remembered. Humanity's silence is not weakness. Our strength is not for conquest, but it is absolute when provoked." The council delegates recorded everything. The humans did not threaten unnecessary destruction, but their calm certainty left no room for doubt. The New Era weeks passed. Humanity began to slowly reveal some of its capabilities. Hidden colonies on Mars and the Moon were activated. Starships long hidden in asteroids began patrolling the edges of the solar system. Alien observers watched carefully. Some species began to trade with humans cautiously, eager to learn the secrets of their survival and technology. Others kept their distance, fearful of provoking a species that could destroy fleets without hesitation. Kirlan returned to Earth in time to witness the human fleet parade above the planet. The Valkyrie led the formation, flanked by dozens of other ships, all sleek and powerful. Ships emerged from underwater hangars, some from hidden valleys and mountains, revealing designs the galaxy had never seen. The humans did not fire. They did not threaten. They merely existed, strong, patient, and fully in control. A lesson to the galaxy, the broadcast repeated endlessly in distant star systems. Across colonies and empires, the same lesson was learned. Never mistake silence for weakness. Ships that had once laughed at humans now avoided their borders. Worlds that had once sought to exploit Earth now offered diplomacy instead. Humanity had returned, not as conquerors but as guardians of their world. Kirlan stood on the observation deck of the Valkyrie, looking at the blue planet below. For centuries, humans had hidden, waited, and prepared, and now, the galaxy would remember them forever. Humans are amazing, he whispered to himself. They survived everything, and now they lead by example, not by force. Commander Mara approached him. They always lead by example, Kirlan. That is what makes them dangerous. Not weapons, not numbers, but their will to survive and protect what is theirs. Kirlan nodded slowly. And now the galaxy finally understands. A new balance months later, the Galactic Council formally acknowledged Earth's sovereignty. Systems that once plotted to invade now signed trade agreements and peace treaties. Humanity had not demanded this respect. They had earned it silently, through patience, skill, and the quiet but absolute power of the Valkyrie and the Hidden Fleet. The humans themselves did not seek glory. Underground cities were reopened for research and population growth. Old colonies returned to life. Humans rebuilt their civilization, stronger and wiser than before. Admiral Mara Cade stood once more on the bridge of the Valkyrie. She gazed at Earth's horizon. Sunlight reflected on the oceans, forests, and cities beneath the surface. The planet was beautiful, alive, and now fully defended. She turned to Ward. We warned them. We did not attack. We only defended, Ward nodded. And they will remember. The galaxy will never forget humanity again. Mara smiled faintly. Good. Let it be that way. The final message to the Council, to every alien world, to every species that had once doubted humans, the message was simple, clear, and unforgettable. Earth is ours. Humanity is alive. We do not seek war, but we will not allow invasion. Respect our boundaries, and you will have peace. Forget us at your peril. Across the stars, humans prepared quietly, not for conquest, not for revenge, but for the protection of their world, their species, and their legacy. The galaxy had learned the truth. Humans were never harmless. They were patient, cunning, and unstoppable when pushed. And the legend of the HSS Valkyrie became the first of many stories told across star systems, a reminder that Earth, once thought quiet and weak, had risen stronger than anyone could imagine. The stars had long stopped speaking of Earth. In the grand halls of the Galactic Council, Earth was a name only found in dusty archives or used in jokes about lost civilizations. To most alien races, humans were a myth, an extinct species that had burned brightly for a short time and then vanished into silence. But not everyone believed the story was over. Dr. Ellen Varys, a historian from the Virkesh Dominion, had spent years studying the traces humans left behind. Half-decoded transmissions, shattered satellites, and ruins on dead colonies. While others laughed, she felt something strange whenever she looked at the old Terran script. It felt alive. When she proposed an expedition to the Sol system, her peers reacted with mockery. Earth? Scoffed Senator Cothrell during the council hearing. Why waste resources on a graveyard? Because history should not be forgotten, Ellen replied calmly. If we claim to understand the galaxy, we must also understand those who came before us. The council reluctantly approved the mission, not because they believed in her theory, but because the Sol system was rumored to contain valuable minerals. If there were ruins, perhaps they could be stripped for technology or trade goods. So the expedition began. Ellen's vessel, the Ardent Voyager, emerged from slipspace near the edge of the Sol system. The vast emptiness stretched before them, and the pale light of the distant sun shimmered faintly against the ship's hull. Her small crew of 6 included engineers, scientists, and 2 security officers. They were all curious, though most were skeptical. Looks dead to me, muttered Chief Engineer Roland as he scanned the outer planets. Maybe that's the point, Ellen said quietly, staring at the glowing dot of Earth on the monitor. For a long time, the system had been silent. But as the ship's sensors began to sweep across the region, strange readings appeared. Ancient satellites still drifted, some weakly powered, transmitting fragments of old human signals, songs, speeches, even laughter, echoing endlessly through space. When one of those signals played across the ship's comms, the bridge fell silent. A human voice spoke in a language long dead. To whoever finds this, we were here. We dreamed. We reached for the stars, Roland frowned. Creepy. They really thought someone would care. Ellen didn't answer. She just whispered, I care. The ardent Voyager entered Earth's orbit. The view was breathtaking. Vast oceans, green continents, and clouds drifting lazily across a blue planet. But where cities once stood, there was only wilderness. Nature had reclaimed everything. Ruins of metal and glass poked through forests like the bones of a giant. Satellite images showed broken highways, half-sunken buildings, and strange energy patterns deep underground. This world healed itself, said one of the scientists in awe. After all this time, Ellen's eyes filled with wonder. It's not dead, she whispered. It's sleeping. They launched shuttles to the surface, landing near what used to be a major human city. The air was breathable, the gravity comfortable, just as the old data said. Birds circled above ancient skyscrapers now covered in vines. Flowers grew through the cracks of old roads. It was hauntingly beautiful. The first breakthrough came 2 days later. Deep under the ruins of the city, Ellen's scanners detected a massive underground structure. The readings showed a stable energy source, one that had been active for centuries. The team descended through broken tunnels until they reached a sealed metal door. Symbols etched into the frame glowed faintly as their lights touched them. That's human script, Ellen said, brushing the dust away. It says Project Aegis. The engineer examined the door. Still powered. Old tech, but advanced. They used layered security systems. Want me to open it? Ellen hesitated. Her heart pounded. Yes, carefully. After several minutes, the door hissed open with a rush of cold air. Beyond it lay a huge chamber filled with glowing panels and ancient machines. Everything looked untouched, preserved as if waiting for someone. By the stars, whispered Roland. It's still running. Ellen stepped forward, her reflection shimmering in the metallic floor. A single console blinked to life as she approached. Text scrolled across its screen in human letters. Identity unknown. Non-human voice pattern detected. State purpose. Ellen froze. The machine was speaking. We come in peace, she said softly. We are explorers. We want to learn about your creators. There was silence. Then the console responded. Access denied. No human authorization detected. Activating Protocol 7. Signal broadcast. Wait, what does that mean? Roland asked, alarmed. Before anyone could react, a pulse of blue light shot upward through the chamber, bursting into the sky. Their ship detected it instantly. A wave of encrypted energy spreading through the solar system at light speed. Ellen stared at the beam. It's sending a message. To who? Roland asked. I don't know, she whispered. But it's old. Very old. Hours later, across the galaxy, sensors lit up in long-abandoned human colonies. Forgotten bunkers under distant moons began to hum with life. Dust-covered AIs flickered awake after centuries of silence. In the farthest reaches of space, deep inside a dark nebula, a fleet of colossal ships stirred. Each vessel bore a faded symbol, a blue-white globe surrounded by wings. A voice echoed through their control cores. Signal confirmed. Earth has been approached by non-human entities. Reactivation sequence initiated. One by one, the ships came alive, their engines glowing like stars reborn. Humanity had not died. They had been waiting. Back on Earth, the ardent Voyager crew tried to analyze the signal, but its encryption was too complex. It wasn't like any known alien code. This tech is strange, said the engineer. It's thousands of years old, but it's still more advanced than ours. Ellen nodded, her mind racing. It feels deliberate, like a beacon. Maybe the humans left it here for someone, or for themselves. As night fell, she stood alone outside the ruins, watching the stars. The wind carried the faint hum of the old machines below, steady and calm. You called this world irrelevant, she whispered to herself, thinking of the council. But something tells me we're about to be proven wrong. Far above her, in the cold silence of space, ancient Terran defense satellites turned slowly toward the stars. Their targeting systems, long dormant, powered on one by one. A hidden voice deep beneath Luna's surface whispered through static. Signal received. Preparing for return. And somewhere far beyond the edge of known space, a single human voice, transmitted from one awakening ship to another, said 5 simple words that would soon shake the galaxy. We're going home. To Earth. The galaxy was wide and restless. Ships crossed the void between stars carrying trade, politics, and secrets. But now something strange rippled through the deep. A signal, old, powerful, and encrypted, traveled faster than any known frequency. It passed through relay stations, bounced off dust clouds, and reached every listening post. No one knew where it came from. No one understood what it meant. And yet every machine that heard it recorded one phrase from the static: Earth has been touched. In the Council's capital world of Tarloon Prime, chaos spread through the upper chambers. Scientists and military leaders filled the Grand Hall, arguing over the meaning of the transmission. It's just background noise, one admiral insisted. No, said another. That's a structured code. Someone's trying to say something. At the far end of the room, Senator Cothrell sat in silence, staring at the data on his display. He remembered Dr. Ellen Varas, the historian he had mocked only months ago. Her expedition had gone to Sol, and now, this signal had come from there. He frowned. Get me a direct channel to her ship. On Earth, the Ardent Voyager floated in high orbit, its crew still confused and amazed by what they had discovered. The planet below glowed in shades of blue and green, peaceful and quiet, but the instruments told another story. The signal hasn't stopped, said Chief Engineer Roland. It's repeating in multiple bands and across hyperspace frequencies, even old Terran radio waves. It's like it wants to be found, said Ellen. The captain turned toward her. You think the humans planned this? Ellen nodded slowly. Yes, they left something behind, a system that activates when someone enters their home. Maybe it was a defense network, or maybe, she hesitated. Maybe it's a message. Before anyone could respond, a light flashed on the console. A transmission request from the Galactic Council. Ellen accepted it, and the face of Senator Cothrell appeared on the screen. Dr. Varas, he began, his voice uneasy. We received your report. We also received something else. What did you activate? Ellen took a deep breath. We found an underground facility. It wasn't hostile. It recognized us as non-human and began transmitting. We don't know what it means yet. You may have just awakened something ancient, said Cothrell. I'm sending a security fleet to Sol at once. The connection ended. Ellen stared at the blank screen, her heart heavy. Something told her the fleet wouldn't be enough. Not for what was coming. Across the far edge of the galaxy, in a quiet nebula known as the Shroud Sector, the Forgotten woke. There, hidden within clouds of dark gas, lay a fleet unlike any other. Ships as large as cities drifted silently, their metal hulls engraved with the old Terran insignia, a blue and white emblem of Earth surrounded by a circle of stars. For centuries, their reactors had been in standby mode. Their crews, preserved in cryosleep, waited for a signal that might never come. But now the beacon from Earth had reached them. Deep within the flagship Sol's Spear, systems came alive one by one. Lights flickered through long corridors. Air hissed into sleeping chambers. Monitors lit up with human faces pale and still as life returned to them. An AI voice filled the command deck. Signal verified. Earth contacted by non-human entities. Fleet awakening sequence complete. The first human to open his eyes was Admiral Marcus Hale. His uniform, though aged, bore the emblem of the United Terran Fleet. As he took his first breath in centuries, data flooded his display, maps, transmissions, and the coordinates of Earth. He stood in silence for a long time, staring at the projection of his homeworld. It looked smaller than he remembered, yet more beautiful than ever. How long? He asked the AI. 612 years since last command, Admiral. Status of humanity? Scattered. Hidden colonies remain functional. Many in cryogenic preservation, all awaiting your command. Marcus closed his eyes. Then it's time to bring them home. Back in the known regions of the galaxy, the mysterious signal had reached every major civilization. Reactions were mixed. Some were afraid. Some were curious. A few thought it was only a trick, but old stories about humans began to resurface. Stories told in whispers and half-truths. Stories about how humans had once fought impossible wars, built empires from nothing, and refused to surrender even when all odds were against them. One scholar on the Zor Collective wrote, "Humans were not the strongest, nor the smartest, but they were something far more dangerous. They were determined." Now the same determination was returning. and the galaxy didn't know whether to welcome it or fear it. Meanwhile, on Earth, strange events continued. The ancient satellites in orbit began to reposition themselves. The moon's surface flickered with new energy readings. A soft hum vibrated through the planet's magnetic field. Ellen and her crew monitored everything, their screens full of moving data streams. "It's like the whole system is waking up," Roland said. "Every old human structure is powering on. Automatic stations, hidden relays, even deep space beacons. Whatever they built, it's still working," Ellen said, unable to hide her amazement. "And it's calling someone." She didn't have to wait long to find out who. 2 days later, deep in the blackness beyond Pluto, the void itself seemed to shimmer. Sensors across the ardent Voyager screamed as massive gravitational waves rippled through space. "Something's coming," shouted the navigator. "Multiple contacts, no transponder codes." Ellen looked at the main display and gasped. Through the distortion, enormous shapes emerged, ships unlike any they had seen before. Sleek, angular, armored, glowing faintly with blue light. There were hundreds of them. "They're not Council designs," Roland whispered. "What are those?" Then the screen flickered as a transmission arrived. A human face appeared, older, weathered, calm. "This is Admiral Marcus Hale of the United Terran Fleet," the man said. His voice was steady, his eyes sharp. "Identify yourselves." The crew stood frozen. Ellen's hands trembled slightly. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. "Humans," she whispered. "You're alive." "Alive and watching," the Admiral replied. "We received the signal from Earth. You entered our home system. For what purpose?" Ellen quickly explained everything. The expedition, the discovery, the misunderstanding. Hale listened carefully, then nodded. "You came in peace," he said. "That matters. But understand this, Earth is not abandoned. Humanity has endured, waiting for this moment. We have rebuilt in silence in the dark corners of space, and now we are returning." The transmission ended. On the ardent Voyager, silence hung heavy. Every crew member knew the truth. The extinct race they had pitied was not gone. It had simply been waiting for the right time to return. News of the human fleet spread faster than light. Within hours, every major government received the same short message. The United Terran Fleet has returned. Sol system is under human protection. Some leaders laughed in disbelief. Others began emergency meetings. But for the first time in centuries, the galaxy spoke of Earth again. Not as a relic. Not as a myth, but as a power reborn. And far above Earth, Admiral Marcus Hale stood on the observation deck of his flagship, watching the blue planet turning slowly below him. "They called us irrelevant," he said quietly to his officers. "Let's remind them who we are, not with war, but with presence." In the distance, the human fleet began to form ranks, their hulls gleaming in the sunlight like a wall of silver fire. After 6 centuries, humanity was home again.